Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the Big Apple Battle, a New York baseball podcast. And I think we're all coming back down to earth and gearing up for the long haul that is an MLB season now that the opening day jitters and craziness have wore off. Well, at least for me, it did because Ed, I'm
You might be.
sure, yeah, I'm sure you're still floating around somewhere in space considering what the
I'm
Yankees have done this past
launched
weekend.
into the stratosphere, baby. Damn
Well,
the
someone,
torpedoes. We're rockets.
oh
Rocket men.
God, oh God, someone needs to go check on Nestor Cortez before we start any of this. Make sure that man's okay, is
My
okay.
poor baby, bro. I felt so bad for that man, and he's rocking the Slim Shady look, the platinum blonde, shaved hair, and
Bad
really
luck.
letting his freak flag fly out there in Milwaukee. And he let the balls fly. That's for damn sure.
Well, Ed, so what do we want to do here? And we're going to have a pretty quick episode because we are recording this on Monday night, and the Mets are starting a series in Miami. And your boy needs to go and score the game like a 70-year-old man because that's what I'm doing nowadays.
Excuses, excuses, man. I got all the time in the world. It's like the Yankees
Well,
wanted
yeah.
to have all this time for me to gloat, and you want to make it the shortest time frame we could possibly work it into.
Is that why they got an off day today? Is that why? So you could
I
gloat
think
about it?
we'll just say that the MLB schedule makers are on our side. How's that sound?
That's fair. Or just April rain. April rains a lot, so there's a lot of off days.
There's always that, but according to the Brewers and a brother of one of your Mets pitchers,
Oh
it seems
God.
that everyone's in the Yankees' favor these days. So,
We'll get to
shall we?
we'll get to these weird torpedo bats at the end. Don't worry about it yet, folks, because it will be talked about. Ed, before I pass this to you, because we're going to start, obviously, we're in season now. We're going to go opening weekend recap the series, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Obviously, a lot of good from the Bronx, some ugly from the Queens, but I'll pass to you. But before I
The
do,
Queens, you're really going to make that a thing, huh?
I keep doing that from Queens. Keep calling me out on that. I got to fix that. Um, I will put this one set out there for you before you jump into the home run madness and all that they did and how they hit the crap out of the ball. One stat I read was interesting. I saw on Twitter. We are on Twitter now, by the way, so this is gonna be fun.
Hey, yo.
But a
It's
stat,
called X now.
Twitter X, whatever. I don't. We could call it what we want. Um, but it's pitches on opening weekend that were under 95 miles per hour, and the teams that faced however many pitches that is at like 92, 93 mile per hour fastballs
Mhm.
for, and the Yankees faced the most. I guess the Brewers are throwing soft nowadays in that bullpen. They faced 125 pitches sub 95, 94 miles an hour.
Yep.
And they hit 350 with a 1.1 plus slug and 5 home runs. So it does go to show velocity plays huge, as we know, in modern baseball. So with that,
Absolutely.
pass to you with that. I thought that was interesting.
Well, it's a nice setup for me actually. I'm glad that you teed that ball off up for me to torpedo nuke right out of the ballpark because it clearly is the center of the baseball world's controversy right now is the torpedo bat. And it is something that actually gave me pause when I first heard about it. I was at that game, thankfully. I talked earlier about how I missed a Ben Rice home run game last year. Made up for that with the 20-9 uh, dousing that we gave the Brewers on in game two. Trevor McGill, whatever. Is it Tyler and Trevor? Or am I
Tyler
getting
and
the name?
Trevor, the big drips.
Right, the big drip. So Trevor McGill, who is, or Miguel, whatever, he's the Brewers closer, obviously had some comments for these games after that drubbing. And it's funny how, he was like, oh, of course, it's the Yankees. They'll just let it pass, whatever this is. And again, we'll get into the controversy that is the bats. But the fact of the matter is, as you said, they were throwing softballs up there. And that's kind of that's a knock on softball, honestly. They were throwing absolute beach balls to the first three batters in that lineup. I've never seen anything like that happen. Neither has anybody else. 3 home runs on 3 straight pitches against Nasty Nestor, not so Nasty Nestor. He was throwing 91 miles per hour up and in, 90 hard of the plate, 93 I think is where he topped out on those pitches. Aaron Savali left a 90 mile per hour pitch right down the heart of the plate on another home run. So as you talked about, Alec, it was not the Brewers' best showing, but this is what the Brewers do. They do the opposite of what every other team is doing. They're not blowing you away with fastballs the last couple of years. Freddie Peralta is doing a great job. They've had Brandon Woodruff. They've had Corbin Burns. They've done all of that. But they've learned, again, like any Moneyball team does, how to how to value other areas of need, and by
Hmm.
doing the opposite of what baseball's doing, going
But it's
against the
not
grain.
it's not working anymore. I mean, McGill is actually one of those guys too, Ed, who does throw gas. Like he's the one guy in that bullpen that throws your 90, 98 plus.
Right, and they'll get more guys back over the year, but again, it's the start of the season, and unfortunately, it was a bad lineup to face for an organization like that, and that gets me into my points about the Brewers and the Yankees and guys that maybe shouldn't have had an opportunity to play at all in this series, and I think Nestor's one of them. I think that's a bad move by Pat Murphy and the Brewers organization to let Nestor pitch in that game. Beautiful day at the ballpark in the Bronx, coming back to a team where his last memories playing for them wasn't so great. You're kind of setting the guy up for failure. Nerves, whatever it might be, he's not at his best. He is coming out of spring training, coming back to New York, where he's, again, most likely not going to have his best stuff. So we'll get into the game. I think the Yankees did something similar with the guy we traded him for in Devin Williams. So wrap that all up with the bats. The bats are the stars of the show and will be for however long the baseball world wants to make this a problem. Again, not a problem. We'll get back into it because, again, we all use tools that benefit us and work for our particular style of play. And
ChatGPT, for example.
exactly, and there's no difference. How dare you, honestly? That is absolute cheating. I we'll get into that another day. But this is not stealing anything. This is just brilliance, and it's getting ahead of the curve and finding in the small benefits and competitive advantages you can as an organization. It's a tale as old as baseball. So we'll save that for later. But the bats are the stars of the show. Aaron Judge is absolutely lighting it up. He has nearly one WAR after 3 games. So
That's crazy.
Juan Soto, who? Exactly.
We'll get there. We'll get there. He did just fine. The rest of the team, not so much.
Exactly. You actually only got one player that can do anything. So, how well does that benefit a team that's going to go to the World Series? We'll
Yankee
see.
fans got to talk about us even when they can't, when they have such a good weekend, huh?
Absolutely. But hey, I just wanted to bring that back because we heard a lot of Sour Mets fans. Francisco Lindor, by the way, everyone used that bat and went
Oh,
0-for-11,
yeah, we'll get that going.
almost matching the number on his back.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
But we'll go 11, 12, and 13. Jazz Chisholm, my man.
Hmm.
Judge and Jazz, baby. That's going to be a great dynamic duo in the core of this lineup for the next couple of years, and we'll see how it goes beyond that. But people forget Jazz came from a Marlins organization that was in the gutter as far as morale goes. The ability this kid has, the dynamic player he is, the speed, the hit, the fielding, the personality, the range, everything he does is so exciting, and it's something that this Yankee team needed desperately, especially in the wake of a Juan Soto departing. And again, what can you say about the pitching staff? The bullpen was lights out, except for a couple of runs that scored off of Devin Williams, ironically, and Cookie Carrasco, who will be making his first start for the Yankees. But again, a mop-up role on that Saturday game, gave up 3 runs, hadn't been on a major league mound for a while, and the Brewers just do what they do, death by 1,000 cuts. A little hit here, a little dunk there, and a few runs score, as we've seen. So the bullpen has been lights out outside of those two guys. No one giving up a run. Mark Leiter Jr. and Tim Hill leading the way. Legends. Guy mid acquisitions last year. So you got to love where that's going. And if anything, suffering, and one thing I'm seeing as being a struggle so far, and we'll get into rhythm and see where it goes from there. Also, Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, 2 guys we talked about having great starts, already out to good ones. So
Respect, yeah.
exciting to see that. Goldie out of the leadoff spot there a couple times, even though I advocated for Belly. But beyond that, the defense. The defense
Yes.
is what's been letting us down so far, man.
5 errors, man. You got to clean that up. That's ugly. That's men's league baseball.
It is, but I want to give a little insight into that because 5 errors in a 20-run game seems absurd.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right. And I know we talked about how we're addressing, deficiencies and we're getting better defensively, so on and so forth. And we are, and we did. Jason Dominguez had little to be desired in that series, offensively or defensively. Didn't look like he was really tuned in. Again, I talked to you about that in an episode a couple weeks back. Didn't want him really playing the outfield all that much to start. Want to give him the confidence at the plate, which neither has shown up so far, but he's been an excellent base runner. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's something that we've needed to improve on, and it's already showing early dividends. And again, give him a little more time. He's a kid. He'll get there. But where the defense also skews a little awkwardly in from that game is Max Fried, right? Started that game. 6 runs, only 2 of them earned, and one of them was an error he made. And this dude is an elite defender. So maybe it's just the jitters, whatever it might be. But, first pitch of the game was a comebacker, threw the guy out easily, but had a couple of other incidents where he just looked a little nervous and maybe not making the plays he needed to. Pulled Goldschmidt off on another play, but point is, he made no errors last year and averages 1 per season. So you're not going to have this. This is an anomaly. You're not going to see Max Fried being the reason for a lot of the issues that come up defensively in games that he starts. So again, those things will be worked out, not particularly stressed. And then our final point to be made about Devin Williams, as I said about Nestor, didn't really want him in that game at all. I know it's opening day. You're up 2 runs. We have plenty of other bullpen pieces who have played for the Yankees before. Why give Devin Williams an opportunity to pitch against the team that essentially ran him out of town after giving up a home run to Pete Alonso that killed Bob Uecker, as we've talked about? Why give him a chance to pitch against that team after the way that tenure ended? Right? Similar for Nestor, both managers wanting to show off their new pieces and use them and get them work in, whatever it might be. I felt no reason to do that. Save Devin Williams, get him some bullpen work, and let him get in, or in a mop-up role, or just something. Let him get in a comfortable environment and let it work out that way. But
I don't agree with that, Ed.
why is that? You want to test him trial by fire?
Yeah, I
Because
mean, Devin
all I can
Williams,
see is
he's an elite closer. That's not guy. You don't baby
sure.
that guy. You gotta
No,
let
but
him
that's
in.
nonsense. I hate that idea, dude. No,
Mm-mm.
the idea, oh, he's an elite closer. No, everyone's mental, dude. Everyone can be a head case. Josh Hader is an elite closer, still a head case. If you want a guy to have a great opportunity to do well in this, for his team, don't remind him of his failures. That's my opinion. I do,
Okay.
again, 90% of the game is half mental, as Yogi Berra says. So I get where you're coming from, but that idea is so like, oh, alpha, he's the guy. You got to make him do. No, it's kind of an absurd old school mentality, right? Like we talked about, the best pitcher doesn't need the opening day start.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we just talked about it.
But
So,
sometimes that mental hurdle is getting through your past failures and facing them head on, which is facing that old Brewers team and having to get in there and be like, okay, who cares that what happened there? It's a new chapter, it's a new era. I'm in the Bronx now. I'm still an elite closer. Let's remind myself that.
I like that, and I think with the way it all worked out, I think he's going to be set up for a great season.
Yeah,
However, in that moment, I didn't love it, and it was
that's
looking
fair.
like potential disaster. And Trent Grisham also made a heads-up play that was technically illegal by stopping the ball with his baseball cap. Former Brewer coming in clutch there as well to save the game for the Yankees. Anyway, all those things that I discussed will get cleaned up over time, and the Brewers are pesky. So anything that we did see out there, I think the Yankees did a really nice job of combating it. And even at their imperfect selves right now, they looked pretty damn good.
So, Ed, with that being said, I love that recap. It was a nice quick rundown. So I appreciate that because, like I said, I got a Mets game to watch. But who would you call your standout performers? I mean, there's probably so many you could pick and choose from. I obviously know Aaron Judge is top of most people's list, but do you have anything outside of Judge that you want to highlight?
Well, I did say Max Fried would be our ace this year, and after watching Rodon in Game One, I got this funny feeling that Rodon's going to have his big Yankee year. So I
Hmm.
want to give him credit and shout him out. 5 1/3. I said he'd go 5 2/3, so a little short on me, but only
Close,
one earned
close.
run, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 4 hits. Really nice performance by him on a really difficult team who, again, can easily shake your confidence just by dunking little hits in there and walking and being pests. So he's one standout performer. And then for the hitters, man, you could say everybody. Aaron Judge is obviously the guy, hitting 545 with a 2.461 OPS. But I think Jazz, right? We're talking about the torpedo and all this stuff that comes with it. You just want to see him continue to elevate and have a lot of fun in this game because he's what it needs.
Hmm.
And Goldschmidt and Bellinger, the new guys, right? Goldschmidt and Bellinger, all these dudes. But funny enough, Volpe and Wells, right? The guys at the center of a lot of this controversy too. Only 2 hits in those games, and both of them are home runs for each of the guys. So
Well, good for you. I
kind of
mean,
funny,
hey,
right?
I was going to say too, Ed. I mean, you're making me sad here, and I'm going to get into it obviously when I go. But we only had, I think, two or three guys that had two hits throughout the whole series. And your highlight, like the bottom of your highlights, are two guys who only had two hits throughout that
And both
series.
home runs.
And yeah, both home runs. Everyone else on the team had what, 100 hits each. So
A few, but and Ben Rice, man, another guy, just came in and thumped and just looked like a guy who's going to be a real X factor for us. So I don't know. Where do I cap it? Where do I limit it?
the whole
Everything.
team, I guess.
Right. And then the athleticism I told you about, just like we can do so many things in so many different ways. And I'm excited to see how we explore those as the season continues.
And you know what? It's sad, but I really can't say anything bad because if I do, it's just a bad look on me as a Mets fan, to be honest. Because what can I say? What can I say?
You
You
can talk
guys
about
put up.
bats. You can talk about,
We'll talk about
state
the
of the
bats,
bats.
but I really can't because I do have to eat my own words. I was yelling. I thought my friend was trolling me because I've been getting trolled like crazy from my Yankee fan friends who obviously wouldn't be doing their job right if they weren't because I'm doing the same. That's how we do it here in the city. But at the same time, Ed, they were talking about Lindor using a torpedo bat. I was denying it. I looked more into it. Yeah, he
It's a
is, and
torpedo
he
bat.
has. It's a torpedo bat. But we'll get into that. Don't even get me going. We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
But how are
But
you
yeah,
feeling, Alec? I want to know
yeah,
after that performance, after what was it? One, two, three
yeah.
runs total? I don't even know. It was a very limited offensive
Five
performance. How you
total,
feeling?
5 total in 3 games with one win. That honestly could have definitely went the complete other direction as well. But thankfully, our bullpen held up, and I'll get to that at a later date. But yeah, it's crazy doing this podcast now that we're in season, realizing how drastically different week to week it could be. Like this could happen. I mean, I hope it happens for the Mets one week, doing what the Yankees did this past weekend, to doing what we did this past weekend. So it's interesting to do this week to week because I feel like our vibes are going to be very different day over day and week over week. So it's going to get fun here on the
No,
Big
I'm
Apple
impressed
Battle.
that you were so willing to do it as quickly as you were this, next episode. I thought
Well,
you
we
might need
have
more
to. We
time
got
to
to give.
recover.
It's tough, Ed. But if we're doing this right, we got to give people the recap: good, bad, ugly. It doesn't matter. You
This
know,
is commitment,
this
people.
is commitment, baby. And with that, the Mets stumbled out of the gates. We know there were a lot of missed chances, a lot of flat bats, and a lot of question marks. So on opening day, I sat down, to watch. I was locked in. Ed, as you know, we had our rituals, we had our hot dogs. Whoever didn't see the video, it was an
Oh
awesome
yeah.
day leading up to game time. I felt like a kid on Christmas Day, ready to go, ready for the slime to mash, and it flat out stunk. I mean, in typical Mets fashion, they left men on base game after game, scored a total of 5 runs in 3 games. And I do want to break down the stats quickly because it had me fuming not only then, but now. I'm hoping we could take some of this stress out against the poor Marlins down in Miami. But you never know there because it's division
Hey,
rival. We'll see. And they're also leading the division. So we're in some upside down world now, Ed.
hey, and you know what? That's what it's all about. Stranger things have happened.
we're in Stranger Things right now. I'll tell you that. But game one, we lose 3-1. We all know how it ended. I'll not even mention it because Soto getting trolled is ridiculous. I'm not going to criticize him for swinging at that pitch. He wanted to be the hero. He was on base 3 times that game, the only guy on base 3 times. The fact of the matter is we left 10 men on base and we were 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. And that's the story of game one. Not Soto swinging and missing on a slider outside the zone because Pete, we all know, would not have been clutch in that situation, regardless if he got walked.
Well, it's funny. Well, I mean, history tells you last year that he would have maybe been clutch, but
Yeah,
also,
that's fair. That's fair.
right? And then
I'm
the
just
irony.
bitter.
Sorry, continue.
Mm-mm. Sorry, after you, you were going to say the irony of that.
I kind of lost it.
Okay, we'll cut that. We'll cut that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So game two, we won 3-1 again, low scoring game. It was really a win thanks to the pitching, which I get into a bit. But I still want to highlight kind of the men on base situation and struggling to hit with runners in scoring position. We were 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position that game. And we left the door open all game and giving hope to the Astros inning after inning just because we again couldn't hit with men on base. And luckily, we had a good showing from Tyler McGill. Again, I'm going to get into him and Griffin Canning surprising us, and kind of the highlights here is our pitching staff, which again, upside down world. We all thought it was going to be the lineup, and for whatever reason, it's a lot of these no name pitchers. But I digress.
That's baseball, Susan.
That's baseball, Susan. Game three. This was disgusting. It was actually, it's funny before I get into this. It was the first game I scored. So I'm starting to, as I mentioned previously, I'm starting to score some of these games. It's
Love
the
that.
first game I scored in a long time. So I was relearning the rules and how to do it, tweaking here and there.
A little
And of
different than
course,
slow pitch softball.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But it's fun and I enjoy it. But obviously, this game wasn't. We were one hit, and of course, first game I'm scoring, to me already, my superstitious self already makes me feel like it's bad luck to do this because we were one hit. We were lucky to even have that one hit. By the way, because Soto, it came in the first inning on a Soto double, which, mind you, it's not Minute Maid Park. What's the name?
It's Daikin now.
Daikin.
Daikin for
That's
anybody
what I
wondering.
have in the scorebook, but completely forgot it. Top of mind. But yeah, Daikin Park. It said that's the only part that would have been a hit or double off the wall. It's because that left field wall is really perched in there. I mean, also
Mm.
Fenway as well, of course. But
Funny how
yeah, that.
nobody talks about those walls when they're talking about the short porch at Yankee Stadium. Just so
Oh
funny, huh?
yeah. Well, we don't play there, so and we don't play most of our games there. I'll say, but either way, that was it was the only hit of the game. It was a double off the wall that people said. I mean, the analytics said it was only a 9% chance to actually be a hit. So we could have easily been no hit, game three of the regular season. And thank God we weren't. But the point I'm trying to make here is, again, with the one hit, we were lucky to even score one run because Crazy Man Siri somehow got walked and basically ran around the bases and scored.
Oh my God, he
Um,
made that run. That was all him.
that was awesome. Yeah. Soto grounding out to the pitcher. The pitcher did not do a good job at checking the runner and holding him on. He lollipopped the throw to first, and Siri is fast, and we need that. So I'm happy to see that. I think
And
that's a good
that
little
the
silver
game
lining.
needs more play like that all around. So love to
Yeah,
see things like that.
that's nice, aggressive, old school baseball, all about the running game, reactions, just
Mhm.
instincts, right? And
And take
that
the
was
run. You don't want to risk it letting somebody else drive you in if you can help it.
no, and we also just needed to score for morale,
That's
regardless of how that
exactly
game
it.
was going to end. But yeah, that game as well, Ed. We were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. And again, the only hit was Soto. So, with that all being said, it's 3 games. It's just 3 games. So, I don't care who you are. If you're the ones out there freaking out, and we're going to get into overreaction shortly, but if you're the ones over there freaking out, saying the season's over, we can't hit, we can't score, just shut the fuck up, please. Well,
Get
we
off this train.
I'm sorry. Like we just can't go in that direction already. Like as Mets fans, yes, we're scarred from our tragic past and the history of being a Mets fan and what we've done.
Tragic past. Oh my Lord. Like you've been afflicted with some godforsaken, like, I don't know, curse. Like you're the Cubs, my Lord.
Well, that's fair. But I will say, we just can't overreact, and I feel like you got to agree
There
here.
you go.
We can't go crazy about this because this lineup is good. It's still the strength of this team, plain and simple. And they just have to wake up. It's just a matter of time. It's a matter of when. But again, it's a slow start. Nonetheless, it's crazy because in those 3 games, Alonso and Lindor combined 1 for 20, with only Nimmo, Soto, and Torrens recording more than 2 hits in that whole series. Like I previously mentioned,
Mm.
complete opposites of what the Yankees did. And to put it in an even crazier perspective, only Torrens and Soto had OPS above 800, which simply, in my opinion, is just average, right? 800 OPS is just that average OPS
Yeah, you're getting up there
baseline.
at pretty decent, you'd say it's a decent OPS,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
decent at best. You wanted the 800 plus for sure.
right.
So
But
I think that puts in perspective. It just showed no one was hitting, no one was slugging, no one was getting base. Yeah, we had some hard hit balls and some bad luck. That's going to happen at any baseball game. So I'm not going to sit on that as an excuse.
And
So
the
all in
Astros are
all,
tough,
yeah,
man. People always sleep on the Astros pitching. Like every year they churn out guys who you've never heard of throwing no hitters. Ronel Blanco last year, Spencer Arrighetti, like
yeah,
all these guys who are just continuing to do things that nobody expects them to do. They leave and they're not as good. So they're doing something in Houston that works,
yeah.
clearly.
And we're seeing Frember Valdez and Hunter Brown, who's one of the best second half pitchers in the AL.
Right?
Last year,
Still
some
young too. Yep.
still young, some solid guys, but in my opinion, still no excuse to get out to that slow of a start against a bullpen that's I don't want to say subpar because we talked about earlier. It's not the back end strong in Abreu and Hater, but there's no reason we shouldn't be hitting off these guys like Brian Wilson and some of these other guys in that bullpen. Um, and also Abreu was wild, and so was Hater. They were
Mm.
kind of walking everyone. They didn't have the sharpest of their stuff, so it was just an ugly start overall. But I did want to highlight the silver lining, which is the pitching. Who would have thought in this upside down world, my boys McGill and Canning low key shoved. I don't really need to highlight or talk much about Holmes. He was a bit sluggish, missed the zone a bit, a little
It was
while,
his
but
birthday. He's allowed.
his birthday, yeah, maybe he was hungover. But all in all, it wasn't that bad of a start. I think he's going to be fine. I'm actually not worried about him at all. But yeah, I just wanted to quickly highlight McGill here because McGill is this guy who has this weird, always had this weird high upside if he got it figured out and just kind of got more aggressive and threw strikes and didn't dance around hitters because he has sharp stuff. He throws gas. He's incorporated some new pitches. And yeah, game one, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, solid start. That's all
Much better go of it than his brother had, or at least his
exactly.
brother's team.
Exactly. Didn't embarrass himself like his brother. And also, he got the first win of the Mets season. And,
And
you
the
know,
only.
and so far, the only. But Griffin Canning also, he was the one I really got to highlight and pay some respect for because I know I talked so much shit about this guy early on, Ed.
Oh, I knew he was going to be
Um,
great the second you talked that ish.
See,
It just had
that's
to
why I
happen.
did it. That's why I did it, right? It's that reverse psychology shit.
There you go, Mets fans. If he's down on your team, it's just to get them going in the right direction.
You got that right. I mean, he pitched 5 and 2/3, 2 earned runs. It should have been less. I don't want to say could have. I want to say should have. He had 2 walks. He just gave up a big double to Jordan Alvarez, which obviously is one of the best hitters in baseball,
Mm.
not only the
Hard not
AL.
to do. Yeah.
Exactly. It's hard not to do. He was running on fumes, but I respect Mendoza giving him that batter, really seeing if he could get out of that 5th inning. He did not, but regardless, it's still a very solid showing. And the biggest thing of all, outside of these guys, is the bullpen. It looked amazing.
Mm.
We worked in and out of trouble. We posted no runs allowed. No runs allowed in 9 and 2/3 innings. We had 9 Ks and 6 walks. Of course, history has told us that we tend to walk a lot of guys in our bullpen, so it's something to keep a close eye on, considering kind of where we were last season. But the
Hmm.
biggest highlight here, Ed, I know I talk shit about him, Edwin Diaz, baby. Closed out
Yeah,
game two. He quickly dialed it up and reassured me quickly to 98. First
I was
pitch,
gonna
like,
ask. I've been
yeah,
waiting to say, how's the velo looking?
dude, 98. I mean, again, it's in a dome out there, so that's one thing. But he dialed up to 98. Great command, which was important as well. Crisp slider, got ahead in all counts, no walks. So this really helped kind of calm the nerves, considering again those talks we had earlier about his spring velocity and command being down. So with that, really happy to see Edwin. But it's funny because he's not my standout performer.
Ooh,
I gotta
who
give it to
might that be?
I gotta give it to Canning, and obviously Soto's an obvious pick, right? A 1.3 plus OPS, but he's gonna do this all year. Canning is a guy who was a
Still half the hitter of
huge.
the judges, though.
Oh god, I had to throw that in there, but I get it. I respect it. Can't really say shit about Judge right now. I mean, that's for sure. So
It's all right, but we can do the can while you tell us about canning.
yeah, we'll do the can get up there and do it, Ed. And he's the reason I'm picking him because we didn't know we were gonna get. We didn't. He was a huge question mark. But it's interesting because he actually was at one time. I was doing some research. He was a top prospect.
Yeah, for the
Um,
Angels, right?
yeah, top prospect. Other teams also felt that their pitching lab could work with him and get him back to form, considering just how poor the Angels pitching lab really is, just from what I've read and heard from other pitchers of past and present.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what he could do, considering what our pitching lab has done for guys, the past year plus now. So I'm a little higher on this guy than I was early on, and time will tell. I guess we'll see how he does, Ed.
I'm telling you, man, you gotta now that you've got David Stearns at the helm, you're going to see this happen year in, year out. This is going to be their methodology or their tactic or their tact, whatever you want to say, moving forward for roster construction. With the amount of money they're going to commit to that roster, they're going to have to find pitchers that are maybe a little more replaceable, cost effective, but have peripherals that show them something that teams are not getting the most out of. So they're moneyballing their pitchers,
Hmm.
and they have been for a couple of years. And these reclamation projects are not so far off from being, again, top prospects. Sean Manaea, first rounder. Luis Severino, once an ace. Here you go, Griffin Canning, first rounder. So uh,
Quintana.
Quintana, right? Again, top. He's the guy that got the White Sox Eloy Jimenez, right? So that
Hmm.
was a big deal
Yep.
when that happened. Now it doesn't seem like that big a deal. Eloy's now in Tampa Bay, which that might be a pain in the ass. So I just thought of. So yeah, dude, it's exciting to find a guy who people have very low expectations for, and but that also goes back to what the Mets situation I think is, and your expectations are higher than maybe ever, and I think that might lead to a lot of this early season struggle.
I think that's what it is. And you hit the nail on the head. I think it is the high expectations that we have because of the owner, because of what we've done in the off season, and because of how we ended last season, right? With that miracle run. Now the ceiling is so high that you struggle out of the gate. You have a Canning or McGill who aren't sexy names on paper and they don't perform. You're going to be put under a microscope and critiqued strongly, which we know is going to happen. And we know the Yankee trolls will be out to play. And it's fair. I can't say it's not.
No, we're just responding to the trolling that is
Mm.
happening to us.
Mm-mm.
You see, we don't go out of our
There's
way. We
trolls both ways.
respond. We
You're under the
respond.
bridge.
Well, I have seen a few annoying like Yankee fans like, oh, Soto's never gonna like so many ridiculous things. But then you see the Mets fans, which this is funny, and I want to post it somewhere, where it was back-to-back posts on Instagram, right? And
Mhm.
it was somebody on Mets Twitter or something along those lines writing that Juan Soto sorry, there's a picture of Juan Soto after I guess their one win in Houston, where it says Juan Soto is like that bad ex that Yankees fans are going to take forever to get over, and it's this like happy smiling Soto, and then the next, and it says facts as the caption, and then the literal next thing on my feed was Yankees posting franchise record 36 runs. So it's just a really funny dynamic that we're
That is
seeing
funny.
develop with this Soto thing, and it's probably the best thing that can happen for our particular program. Um, and obviously Torpedo and all this stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
that just made me laugh quite a bit.
Well, no, it's funny, and you make a good point. Like, I think this kind of rejuvenated the rivalry, and we could have a whole episode on that. And it's not like the rivalry hasn't been.
Rivalry.
Stop it! Just don't. It's
It's
not
not
like
a
this has.
rivalry. We
It's a
don't
rivalry.
care.
It's a
We don't
rivalry.
care.
We were right there. We almost went to the World Series and met you guys there. Regardless,
We just
the
got to
point I'm
hear you all the
making is
time.
it rejuvenated whatever rivalry or whatever you want to call it, right? Because Soto coming to the Mets, taken from the Yankees, and now the torpedo bat issue with Lindor using it and sucking, and then the Yankees using it and hitting 20 home
That
runs.
was the best part. I'm sorry. After all the torpedo stuff, all Mets fans coming out, and then the first picture was Lindor striking out with the torpedo
Yeah,
bat.
that definitely hurts a bit. And hey, shout out Lindor, by the way. He's on the lineup tonight against the Marlins because his third child, and it is a son who will be a
Hey,
Mets shortstop in 20, let's do some quick math, 2055.
baby Frankie. I love that. Well, it's funny you say that. We got a friend who just had a kid, baby Sal, as we like to say. And I was
Baby
telling
Sal.
our friend that baby Sal should be the new Yankees spokesman or mascot or something after the torpedoes. Like this kid's been around a month and he's got 36 runs in one first series of existence. Like that's pretty damn good.
That is pretty damn good. And actually, I sorry to completely go off track here, but I kind of want to
I
shift
already did.
gears into our yeah, that's fair. Shift gears into our second segment because while I'm on Lindor's topic, this big thing here is Ed, and you're gonna love this. Well, you're probably gonna hate this, but he is. I'm going ahead quickly to my players to watch because he is my player to watch in this upcoming week and moving forward because obviously he's off to his typical slow start, going 0 for 11. But again, he had his baby boy. He has the night off tonight, and he's going to come back with that dad strength that we know and love. And he's that guy who sets the tempo for the whole lineup. And we need to see that shine through. We need him to smile. We need him to feel loose, and we need Lindor back. And I think he's going to be. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be. He's, like I said, I thought he was the NL MVP last year, and he's as consistent as they get. So, yeah, you really can't be thinking things are going to go too wrong for your team captain and shortstop. Well, eventual team captain, at least.
And I do want to obviously pass this back to you, but while I'm already in the segment, how do you feel about me giving my look ahead quickly to just the week
Yeah,
ahead?
go for it.
So yeah, I know I just highlight Lindor as my guy to watch, a guy who sets the tempo for this lineup. But yeah, I think it's simple what has to change, right? It is the lineup. Not only has to hit, but it's the big names. Again, similar to Lindor, it's the guys who need to step up with men on base. And as a Mets fan, we've seen this time and time again. For whatever reason, season after season, we don't hit with men on base. It feels like it's like in our DNA now. And it's kind of crazy because I don't know. You just have this feeling as a Mets fan when you watch games. I don't know if it's a placebo or it's just the fact that it really is happening where we're just watching men get left on base and stranded game after game, season after season. And something has to change. Like the guys like the Alonzos, the Nimos, the Vientoses, the Martes, and Lindors of the world. They have to hit alongside Soto because that bottom of the lineup, again, it's not as deep as we originally thought heading into the season with Beatty and Alvarez on the shelf. So I think it's really important to not only hit with men on base, but to have your big guys do it and do it consistently.
Yeah, and do it well. And that's the thing. It's shortening those swings and working counts depending on the count you're in, right? Not trying to hit the home run. And it's a lot of the criticism I've had of the Yankees.
Mm.
Not trying to go for the home run or even the walk sometimes, where Soto's great. And I'm not meaning to be critical here. I'm actually not. Sometimes just passing the baton with a walk can be a little frustrating because it puts no pressure on the defense, right? And we don't see without pressure on the defense, we don't have the opportunity to get in the heads of the. It's a mental game, as I keep talking about. We don't have
Mm.
the ability to get in the heads and minds of the pitcher and the defenders. If it's a simple three true outcomes, walk, home run, strikeout, you have nothing to worry about as far as the defense, keeping defenders on their heels, keeping them guessing on where to throw the ball next. Keeping the line in motion and keeping things in motion and keeping the line moving is so important. And finding guys who can cut down on those issues with running runners in scoring position, where I'm seeing Cody Bellinger maybe developing as that guy who can be that for us right now, which is not what I expected. You will identify those guys for the Yankees or for the Mets, I should say, and they will emerge. It's just, as you said, bad 3 games, and somebody's going to have to step up for you guys to be successful.
No, you're right. That's the thing. Yeah, it's again like trying to really just put a kibosh on this whole overreaction thing because it is again just 3 games and someone is going to shine through. Like talking about Brett Beatty, speaking of overreactions, talking about Brett Beatty and how he's just sending him back to AAA, get rid of the guy. He had his chance. He said 5 at bats. Like, come on,
Right.
like give the guy a chance. Like, tonight he might hit 2 home runs. Who knows?
Exactly. But there you go. Big springs don't always lead to hot starts. So Jason Dominguez was my pick to click in the early goings, and he's having a rough go of it so far. One of the only Yankees without a home run at this juncture, hitting 125. But hey, his on base is at 364. So he's finding ways to get on base. But like I said, you got to put those balls in play and hopefully show the contact ability that made you a top pick, top international signing, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and again, like Dominguez too. Like, yeah, I mean, he's had a little, probably a few more at bats than Beatty had because of one how the Yankees have been hitting and how he's starting outfielder now. But at the same time, it's still such a small sample size. You just got to give it a little more run. Like like at least wait a few weeks. Like, come on now, give them a few weeks, give them 25 plus at bats, and let's see what they can really do with a larger sample size here. So I think these overreactions are crazy, but that is New York baseball, and I think that's what makes it kind of fun, right? Is the trolls and the overreactions coming out. So
No, absolutely. And that's what's so
well,
hard about being a young star in this town too,
yeah,
right? It's what makes the Jeters, the David Wrights of the world so much more impressive in this media market because it is so I don't know, it can put a damper on any belief you have for what you think you can be at this level.
yes, 100%, 100%. And you're under a microscope, right? It's just a lot more pressure playing here than playing in Sacramento for the A's. So,
Totally. Yeah, and you
it's
love that your
tough.
fan bases know your minor league system. You love that they know their younger players, right? That means there's passion in, but it also means that you don't give the guys the chance to develop the way you want them to. We've seen
Mm.
Volpe have struggles early on, even with great performances, and we've again, I keep bringing up Dominguez with defensive issues. Kind of looked for Marcus Stroman looked really frustrated with a play that he couldn't commit on coming in on, which was should have been an easy catch on a kind of a dying line drive. And you see those ripple effects from the plays like that. And if you're continued to made to feel like, oh, I can't do it here, then you're not going to do it there. So you just hope that they have short memories and can really tune out the noise and progress again as they should.
And when you say it's a mental game, I think it's even more so a mental game when you're playing in New York, right? So I think
Oh, of course.
that's the biggest part of it. Is like it's not just a mental game playing baseball and playing the MLB and playing, under the lights with 30,000 plus.
Yep.
Well, depends where you're playing. But where we're playing, there's usually 30,000 plus. So that's why that mental hurdle and that mental strength is so much more important in a city like this, in Philly, in Boston, in Atlanta, in LA, like these big cities, right? You got to be able to perform and play at a high level and keep your composure day in and day out. So
And
it's
speaking
really,
of,
yeah.
yeah, and sorry to interrupt, but
No,
speaking
please.
of that, kudos to Aaron Judge for the way his season ended last year. He could have easily had the
Mm,
worst start to this season, and I thought it was huge for him to have a good start to this year. So,
that's a good point.
how many people were coming for him saying he's overrated, all these things, and Juan Soto's the belle of the ball? Again, not trying to compare the two. We're just New York here. But
I get that. Yeah.
the fact that the captain could come back and have this start just shows that that's elite. That is captain material. That's who you want leading your franchise. And the more people you have with that mentality on your team in a place like this, the better off you're going to be. That's what made those dynasty teams in the 90s. That's what made those, mid 2000s teams for the Mets really strong. Those 80s teams, for the Mets even better. You just have the confidence that you're going to say, put that to bed, leave it to yesterday. Tomorrow's a new day, and we're going to go grab them by the balls.
That's it. At one day at a time. And with that, I'll quickly just touch on the week ahead and then I'll pass it your way to just highlight anything, upcoming for the Yanks and how they could stay hot and yeah, who they got coming up this week. But the quick highlight is the series to watch for me. It's the Marlins series, in my opinion, because I want to see how we could bounce back versus a team that we should and need to beat, considering the World Series aspirations that we have and that we've established now. And we can't go 7-6 against them like we did last year and expect to win a World Series, let alone expect to win the division. I'm also excited again to see David Peterson and Sanga pitch because we saw McGill and Canning. I know we talked about this in previous episodes, the weird wonky way the rotation was laid out, more so to preserve guys and their health. So people are quickly forgetting that we have a Peterson and a Sanga still to pitch. So, no one's stressed, no one worried. There's still some depth here. These are top of the rotation guys or, guys who are expected to be top of the rotation alongside Holmes and Manaea when he's healthy. So I'm excited to see Peterson and Sanga go. Sanga is going tomorrow night against Sandy Alcantara. So that's obviously a big matchup right out of the gate. And yeah, and then obviously the home opener on Friday, which I am juiced about. I will be at game 2 on Saturday. I will be waving and smiling and trying to get Juan Soto's autograph. I'm getting there super early. We're sitting on the right field side. So, got to go see our boy.
Or you're
And
going to
it's
make a
again,
trip to the bullpen to see Max Scherzer, your other favorite Met.
no, Max Scherzer could politely fuck off. He didn't have any kind words to say when he left the Mets, and he kind of not the best clubhouse presence from what I've heard, in my
I was
opinion.
wondering how you guys were feeling still.
Yeah, not the biggest fan, and it's sad. You never want to see a guy get hurt. I know he's down, and he's on the IL now, but regardless, I'm happy we didn't go after him again in the offseason. See how that would have worked out.
Oh, yeah, thank God.
But yeah, the Jays are 2-2. They have a -6 run differential. They're solid. They're also kind of off to a little bit of a slow start. They did put up a lot of runs. I think it was in game 2, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that because I think it's kind of already important, right? To not only get out of the gate hot at home, but to build off of hopefully a successful series in Miami, get back on track here, considering that Miami lineup again is filled with no names. Although, again, we are facing out Contra on Tuesday night, but that lineup is not that deep. They don't have they have a lot of young talent, sure, but a lot of guys who are unproven and raw. But it is kind of cool how they won the first three games on walk offs, which is kind of crazy.
And those are the teams you got to be scared of, especially in the early goings. You know what I mean? Momentum is it's a bitch.
No, you're right. That's why we got to kind of put that flame out and just get back to basics and play good baseball. So Ed, I will throw the ball back to you and let's see what you got.
Son of a fish. All right. Sounds good to me. No, those are solid looks ahead. I think the Marlins are going to be flipping the M a couple times and showing that W. We won't have the home run sculpture going off. Unfortunately, they've replaced it with a Norwegian Cruise Lines ship out in left
Makes
center field
sense.
that will make water spouting, what? Just bring back the home run sculpture. Anyway, um, yeah, hopefully you guys take some of those games. It'll be a little damning if you don't. So we'll see how it goes. The Blue Jays also didn't look particularly good against the Orioles. They still have similar issues, but it's still a dynamic lineup. But it'll be interesting to see how you come out. And after this first week, I know I predicted you guys having the better record after the first three series, but I'm starting to feel pretty good about us having the better record now. Especially with seeing how Pittsburgh got absolutely thrashed. Well, I shouldn't say thrashed. They got walked off on a couple times, even on opening day with Paul Skeens starting by the Fish. So
Hmm.
we got the Pirates to look forward to after this series coming up, where we've got three games at home against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we've already talked about their improvements over the offseason. Got a little more pitching depth. Montgomery's out for the season, but I think they wanted to move on from him anyway. And the Yankees will be lining up against the best three pitchers in the Diamondbacks rotation. So we'll get Will Warren's season debut against Corbin Burns. Tough draw. Yankees have plenty of familiarity with him after he pitched or led the Orioles staff last season. I don't think they're particularly worried about him, but still an ace, no doubt. And then game two will be Rodon versus Zach Gallen. So again, Gallen, quick tie-in for anybody historically, was traded by the Marlins to the Diamondbacks for anybody? Anybody? Current Yankee?
Marlins to Dimebacks
Yep.
for give me the first letter. I'll
Current
know it.
Yankee, Jay. That gives it
Oh.
away.
Oh, Julio. I mean not Julio. Jason Dominguez.
Jazz Chisholm, my
Oh, I mean, so
man.
I'm game casting the Mets over here. Let's cut
Yeah,
that
I
part.
knew you were tuned out. So Jazz Chisholm is going to face off against the guy that he was traded for with Derek Jeter at the helm of the Marlins, and Rodon will get his second start against the D-backs in that game. That'll be on Wednesday, and then Cookie Carrasco gets his first Yankees big league start after a cleanup appearance in relief on Saturday. Gave
Hmm.
up 3 runs, but I told you that was really just a mop-up role, testing out, getting him some work in, and then getting him back on a major league mound against, again, a really pesky, light hitting Brewers team that winds up just driving in runs at random, and suddenly you're like, how did they even do that? So anyway, that's what my experience was at the ball game, and I think Cookie's going to have a nice start against Merrill Kelly, who had some great runs with the D-backs over the last few years. So that's what you got to look forward to there, and then the Pirates after that, who are pesky as I said, but have proven to not be so to this early goings. So I'm liking the Yankees odds, continuing to thump against these pitchers. And again, the Diamondbacks will be a great test to see if they can slow any of those bats down. But beyond that, I think what we really want to see is, again, Dominguez having a bit more of a breakthrough offensively, defense shoring things up a little bit more, and Anthony Volpe maybe doing a little bit more than just walking and striking out and hitting 2 home runs. Again, 167 batting average. You want to see him make more consistent contact and put the whole controversy of these bats to bed.
Yeah, Ned, I was gonna say sorry about that little tune out there. I was just looking at the Mets game cast, and it's funny because they went 1, 2, 3 in the first inning. I was out of Soto getting a single, so really just kind of taking right where they left off. So
Yeah, you're gonna have a bit of a run like this. I'm gonna predict for maybe 10 days, and it's gonna be a little annoying, but I think you guys will find yourselves, like you did last season.
no, you're right. I'm not too worried about it. 0-5 to oh my god, yeah, yada yada. We get it, we get it. But no, so sorry
Speaking
to
of, sorry, I want to interrupt.
please.
The Padres are 4-0 with, oh my God, Jose Iglesias on their roster. Just letting you
And
know that against the
he's
Braves.
and I'm okay with that. Braves being 0-4 is a sweet, sweet sight. But yeah, no, to your point, Ed, I will say for you guys, right? It's just about maintaining that offensive presence, and then again, seeing some guys not just become home run happy and we're too reliant on the home run ball. We know that sometimes could lead to a higher K rate and less of an on base percentage. So to your point, it's important that guys like bullpen. I know Jazz is crushing the ball, but also to mix in and sprinkle in some doubles and hard hit balls down the line here and there. Obviously, good for consistent contact and not just getting too home run happy, as we know could hurt the further you get into the season.
And that's my biggest fear
Yeah,
because Jazz right now has 5 hits, 3 of them are home runs, but he has 4 strikeouts, which leads the
there it
team.
is.
So
Yeah,
you don't want anybody to get too pull happy, home run happy with that short porch. Again, Jazz has a lot more to offer. So we'll see how these bats get into the minds of these players, and we'll just see how it goes league wide.
yeah, and you guys, again, the cleaning up the fielding shouldn't be an issue. You guys have a lot of potential gold glovers in that lineup, and I don't think that should be a concern of yours. It might have just been a little funky off day for whatever happened in that game to have 5 errors. I honestly
Totally.
still a weird one to wrap my head around, considering who you have.
I'm telling you, Max Fried is not going to be making errors start after start. So I think that had a lot to do with it. And again, it's
Yeah,
just jitters. You're getting going, amped up at Yankee Stadium, right? Like, what are you supposed to do?
that's a fair point. Yeah, yeah. When you're playing at home, playing New York, we know those jitters and that nervousness and anxiousness is going to be there. So, but I
Opening
don't think,
series,
yeah,
3 straight home runs off of a former player, like chaos, pandemonium in the Bronx on March 29th. Like,
yeah,
sometimes you got to get your head back into the game. And I think Max will do just that.
yeah. You guys don't have too much to worry about there, honestly. I think just looking ahead for you guys again, maintaining, keep doing what you're doing, putting up 5+ runs a game, and then cleaning up the fielding. You guys are gonna be just fine. Um, so Ed, the
Thank
thing
you.
I do,
Thank you.
Ed, of course, the thing I do want to do to highlight, 'cause I know, I'm going to run and be selfish here because I got to go watch the game. I'm going to go score it.
Boo.
Big David Peterson looking great, about to strike out the side. But I will say this: I think we owe the people a nice, not rush conversation, civil conversation about the torpedo Batgate. Whether is it controversy? Is it genius? Is it shady?
Who are you, Richard Nixon, Richard Dixon? Like, what are we talking about here? Batgate. There's no gate.
Gate.
Stop adding gate to everything. I'm tired of this. Makes no sense. Watergate was a hotel. Where's the gate?
Oh, but see, this is why. This is why we owe the people a larger conversation. So I think midweek we're going to come at you guys with just an episode simply talking about this torpedo bat controversy. That's a better word than gate for you, Ed. And we're going to give you some instant ridiculous overreaction that we're seeing from the internet and also from ourselves. Because it's fun to do, because the predictions clearly don't matter, as we know that we made early before the season started, and the overreactions are probably also what they are, overreactions. So
Overreactions.
but
Yes, but I do want to say, as
please.
far as is it genius, is it shady, is it both? The torpedo bats are an absolute non-issue,
Mm.
and you're all making too big a deal of it. And we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty next time.
I think we'll leave it at that. And there are some other guys like Ryan Jeffers, Lindor, Dansby Swanson. I've heard Adley Rushman. I think
The
again,
Atlanta Braves just ordered
the
a whole thing for their
Braves.
team.
That's
So
hilarious,
a whole batch.
but it's because again, I'm not doing what Trevor McGill did. I'm saying in a different way here, and then we'll cut it off so we could leave it up to the imagination before we have our larger discussion. But the fact that it is the Yankees, right? That's why, right?
That's why.
It's a mainstream market. It's a mainstream team, so people are
Mhm.
going to put on a microscope. Especially doesn't help when you score 20 runs that game. So that's also going to be highlighted. And we know we're a big social media world now in 2025, so everyone's gonna see the pictures of the weird lumpy bats, and obviously gonna be questioned. So
Well, and the manipulation, and they're making them even more balloon-like, and pin or bowling pin-like, and it's just absurd. So you can see all the photoshopping happening.
yeah, that's why I thought Lindor wasn't using it. My friends were really trolling me, but that's why I'm biting my tongue, because yeah, it wasn't a Photoshop. Lindor also has one, and he's not doing anything with it. So
Yep, and that's the thing. People, just to make this clear, they're not moving any wood. You can't move wood. They're just shaping the bat as they cut it down to this shape. There is nothing crazy about it.
yeah,
It's just what works for people. Like
and
people are using the term moving wood. Like you can't move wood. It has to be a solid piece of wood. Ash, maple, or hickory. That's it.
the only thing to me that seemed funky, and I guess we are kind of having this conversation now for a few minutes,
well, yeah.
but we'll get into it more again. But it's the fact that I thought it had to be, the way in the rules, right? It's the biggest piece of the bat at the top, as we know, and it gets thinner and thinner as you go down the barrel.
Mhm.
So kind of seeing it get thin to bigger to thin again. It's like when a big water bulge or whatever you want to call it is stuck in
In your
in the
ceiling.
hose or your ceiling. Yeah. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
Like a snake eating a rat. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know. To me, that's what felt weird. But again, pitchers are going to adapt too. Pitchers always have the advantage, right? With all the analytics now, you might be able to pitch people differently if you know they're using those bats, and maybe you pitch them a little differently. If it's a righty using that bat who's trying not to get jammed and trying to hit the sweet spot lower in the bat, you pitch them more outside with this sinker or a two seamer. I don't know what to tell you.
Exactly. That's a good take. And that's all reactions to the next. How do you get your competitive edge? What do you do to combat what the other person's doing or the other team? It's always this way. This is the game of baseball.
Yeah, and I was mad about it, but now that we're kind of rehashing, I read some things, I
Now
heard
that
some
Francisco
things.
Lindor is using the
Yes,
bat, I'm not so
yes.
mad. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's basically it. I'm not gonna lie. That's basically it. I can't say shit. I can't be hypocritical. If Lindor's using it, fuck it. Everyone can use it.
Listen, as long as it's not ruining swings here and there, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here, right? How much of the league adopts it and how pitchers adapt to it. And again, I think that's where this conversation is just going to be season long, and we're all going to eventually not care because it is just another tool to benefit players based on their style of play. As long as you're within the rules, you're not corking, you're not making it lighter, you're not doing any of these things. It's just that's how it goes. That's how the live ball era started. It started with hitting balls with what was akin to a club or like a post off of a dining room table. Then in 1920, Rogers Hornsby was like, "Oh, if I shave this down and make the
Mm.
barrel wider and the handle thinner, I can drive the ball harder and whip it through the zone and hit for more launch," which is what Babe Ruth did right after. So it's just how it goes. This is baseball. Learn your history, and you won't be too worried about it.
You know what, Ed? To your point, this is a non-issue. And you know what? The more we're talking about it here for the past 5 minutes, I don't know we need a separate episode on this because I think we could keep talking about it. We'll keep highlighting it during each episode, guys. Obviously, there's gonna be more updates as we go, whether it's legal, who's still using it, what's happening with it. But I think this was a great way to kind of top it off and cover it. And I actually wanted to make one point. I'm giving a shout out here. Mikey Scalia, my buddy, big Mets fan,
Hey,
the king of
oh,
Queens.
boo.
he wanted me to give him a shout out on a quick overreaction in regards to torpedo bats, and he said analytics regressing back to the mean. Torpedo bats will allow for more hits and more people on base, moving away from strikeout or home run mentality. MLB will love that. It's going to lead to more contact, more hits, home runs, and more people on base. So you know what?
Wow, what a beautiful Mets mind. I did not
Why
expect
not?
to hear that out of one of your fans because that is exactly the take I gave earlier on another little project I'm working on. It's exactly how it goes. This is baseball. It is pendulum swinging back to the mean or where it always needs to go back, right? The Rays were one of the early adopters of Moneyball. And
Mm,
then they said, "Oh, everybody's doing Moneyball. What do we do now? Oh, let's go back to doing it the way they used to do it. Steal more bases, get on base, like hit the ball, right? Drive runs
yep.
in. Don't wait to walk. Don't go so far." So it's always the problem is these are always meant to be quick little edges for teams who are falling behind to get back to where they can to compete. And the Rays are the A's, right? Anybody A's-ish, whatever. Anyway, all these guys, the Grays, the Stays, they all will do what they need to do to keep up with the other teams, with the big teams, right? Moneyball was all created to keep up with the Yankees,
Mm,
with the bigger teams. It's the same thing that's going on here. It's just using analytics to determine what little things we can do better than anybody else. And there's a great book, and I'll keep it here, about the Rays. It's called The Extra 2%. And it's literally about how they run their business like Wall Street, finding little small percentage things that nobody else will look to say, "Oh, that's where we get our advantage. This is where we do that." And they apply that year after year, and it's continued to trickle down from GM to GM. The guy in LA is Andrew Friedman, former GM of the Rays, and they've given it down to the guys that are currently there still. So you're just going to see this forever. Love that take from your friend. Shout out to him. And yeah, again, that's baseball. That's why you watch. That's why you pay attention to the history because it all comes back somehow.
that's it. And you know what? I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up and put a bow on this episode. I do want to say we'll come at you guys midweek. We're gonna get a more consistent posting schedule now that we have regular season series going on. We're gonna try to wrap up each series accordingly. Obviously, it's tough not being just a Yankee podcast or a Mets podcast. We got to find a way to tie it in a way we're still recapping
Well, if it keeps
most
going this
series
way, there could be a
together.
Yankees podcast if that's
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
prefer.
I'll let you go on your own with that one then. But we'll find a way to make it work. Either way, we're gonna follow up midweek, guys. See how we're playing. See how the Mets are improving. See if the Yankees are staying hot.
See
And
if
we'll
Lindor's got a hit with that torpedo bat.
he's newfound dad strength. He'll be fine. And I will say, we'll still
Oh,
talk torpedo bats and we'll talk over reactions, but we'll also talk how the season's continuing to go.
Speaking of dads, Aaron Judge is also a new dad. There was a sign out him saying, "Congrats, Daddy Judge," and he's been going off since then. So dad strength is real, folks.
Oh, he is he? I thought you were making a joke like he's
No,
Soto's
I'm
dad.
serious. No, he's see, that's where the Mets fan brain goes. I didn't say anything. That's all you
That's
guys.
fair. That's on me. Hey, well, congrats to Aaron Judge, congrats to Lindor, and congrats to Mikey Scalia giving us a very
Hey, atta
logical
babe.
Mets take.
Atta babe. I love it. I love it.
So, Ed, with that, it's a wrap. Episode 5 of the Big Apple Battle is in the books, and
Let's
we hope you
go.
enjoyed the show. Cheers to a positive week of New York baseball to come from the Bronx to Queens. I know we need it. And as always, guys, LGM.
Get wrecked and damn the torpedoes. We're coming at you again next week, or I guess this week. But more New York baseball.
Every
Stay
week,
tuned all
baby.
season long. That's it, baby. Let's
Let's
go.
go. Let's go. 140 plus, 150 plus to play. We got a lot of baseball to go. We'll catch you next time.
159 for you math nerds. Peace.
This ball is crushed.